Investments in securities market are subject to market risks. Read all the related documents carefully before investing.
As we celebrate 3 years of disciplined investing with our Vriddhi PMS, markets throw new opportunities and challenges every cycle. Having a time-tested investment philosophy during this time can help you navigate these uncharted waters. That is why we welcome you to join us this Saturday, our fund managers of Vriddhi, Mr. Rajat and Mr. Rohit, from 10 am to 11 am, as we tell you a lot more on Vriddhi's disciplined approach to investing during the ongoing bull run. For the second webinar of the day, we talk more on setting the right milestone. This will take you through things like how to set your goals, distinguishing between short-term and long-term goals, things like investments and savings instruments that you use to achieve these goals, as well as how to look at asset allocation. This webinar will be from 11 am to 12 pm. Are you someone who's worried about the differences between the old tax regime and the new tax regime? Join us for the upcoming comprehensive tax planning webinar from 12 pm to 1 pm, where we talk a lot more on tax planning, how to do better tax planning, and how to do it more efficiently. For the final webinar of the day, we talk a lot more on 401k portfolios, how to review them and rebalance them in your retirement portfolio. This webinar is from 7:30 pm IST.
In this video, I'm going to talk to you on the topic valuing conservatism. I've often observed that investors tend to dislike conservatism. Oh, he is too conservative. Is very normal for an investor to say about another investor. Investors often go to advisors and come to this judgment very easily. Oh, he's too conservative for me, said one investor of an advisor whom I greatly respect. I asked him, why do you say that? He said, he's not taking enough risk. My question to him was, is enough risk a standard metric? Can you say that this amount of risk is a standard bar for your definition of enough risk? My friend changed tack. No, that's not what I think is correct. Then I asked him, so how do you define enough risk objectively in every market context? He said, that's difficult. I asked him why. He said, it's subjective. Correct? Your advisor is being subjective. For whose cause? He is being subjective to err on the side of caution in your interest. When I said this, he said, yeah. But then how do I get a clear understanding of my advisor and how do I value his conservatism? Now we were talking. Conservatism per se is not bad. It is a weapon in the hands of the right person. It is an Achilles heel in the hands of a person who applies it wrongly. So, what is this weaponization of conservatism? How can it be done? There are some traits which are very valuable under all circumstances, and they reflect in the advisor's behavior. A conservative advisor has these traits. Let me start with the first one. Decision count. How many decisions does an advisor take in a year? You will see advisors who are giving 25 funds in a year to their clients. The sheer decision count itself becomes a risk. I understood this quite early in my experience as an advisor. It doesn't suit the investor. So, a person who controls his decision count effectively controls his decision making process better because he knows that he has to control the number of decisions, and he calibrates his decisions in a way in which that conservatism is always there. The next indicator is churn. How often does an investor churn? And how often does an advisor ask an investor to churn? This is another very, very good indicator of where the conservatism is placed. In a normal year, the churn should actually be low. It cannot be high. Where there is high churn or where an advisor gravitates towards high churn, I think he is moving away from the path of conservatism. And when he moves away from the path of conservatism and increases the churn, the risk increases exponentially for the investor. So, churn is the second variable which gives you a trend of where the conservatism actually is and how to value it. The third principle, which I think is inviolable and non-negotiable, is: are you buying more for less? What do I mean by this? For the amount of money that you are investing in an investment, are you getting more value? Which means, are you buying more when that investment is undervalued? Or are you buying more when the investment becomes fairly or excessively valued? If you are buying at any price into a very good investment, if that is your philosophy, if buying at any price is your philosophy, you will end up buying less for more. If you are extremely value driven and you are also very accurate in what value you will pay for growth, then you end up buying more for less. So, an advisor who thinks of buying more for less usually is always going to be playing on the side of the investor and ensuring that his investor has a good experience. Lastly, how do you look at contrarian investing? How is an advisor positioning himself towards contrarian investing? I find a lot of people take contrarian positions, which I will call as leap of death. You go and ask your client to invest in a very, very high risk stock which can go bankrupt. Your thinking is the client will make 4 times if you are right. Market has a certain view. Most of the time, market will be right in such situations. Where you are taking too much risk for a client against market, the chances of market being right is higher actually. So, contrarian investing must be practiced in a way where you are going to be right and you are sure of being right, and only with that certainty you will take a contrarian position. Until you reach that position of certainty, you will not take a contrarian positioning for your client. You will not give contrarian advice to your client. So, while you need to be contrarian, you need to be extremely selective. Only then your conservatism is valuable to the investor. So, the positioning of an advisor on contrarian investing is very, very tricky. It is very, very sensitive, but it is very, very critical. You have to be positioned and you have to be positioned correctly. So, these are 4 aspects through which you can value conservatism of an advisor objectively. If an advisor has a low decision count, if his churn is low, if he has a culture of buying more for less, that is, he pays the right value for growth, and if he practices contrarian investing diligently and cautiously, then his conservatism is very valuable to the investor in you. Look for these traits. You will find them, and when you find them, hold on to them tightly for long periods of time. Thank you for watching this video.